Coming up on this week's episode of My Medical Mixtape. The first mixtapes, and the most enduring in my memory, though, were my dad's road trip mixtapes. So how do you find that balance?
Oh man, this is going to be a controversial take for sure. It's just like, I feel like David Bowie, I feel like I owe an apology a little bit to David Bowie.
Of course it's ridiculous, but music has strange powers.
I am constantly looking for strategies to deal with high stress situations and burnout.
That's the mixtape mentality. Like, I'm throwing you a curveball, but it's gonna work. So I better be able to handle a cheeseburger in an automatic transmission. Empathy balance.
Well, the answer is that you work at it.
All great journeys deserve a great soundtrack. Here's the deal. Before we get too far into this thing, we need to talk about mixtapes. I loved mixtapes. I loved crafting them. I loved receiving them. I loved borrowing them and listening to them and copying them. I miss the mixtape. Every mixtape told a story. I can still remember some of the key mixtapes from my youth. There was the master tape, made by some guy friends of my sister's who were bold enough to call their creation the master tape. These guys were older, cooler, and had more access to Guitar God recordings than we did in our house. Their mixtape was a glam rock masterpiece, a Harvard classics of hair metal, Skid Row, Def Leppard, Guns N' Roses, Van Halen, Motley Crue, and the list goes on. This is the feel of the master tape. I was 50% cooler after just listening to this tape, 20% cooler still after recording a copy of this tape for myself and scrawling the words master tape in felt tip pen across the blank label. Howdy friends, my name is Tyler, and this is My Medical Mixtape, a new podcast about music and medicine, grief and joy, life and death, and everything in between. I'm an ER doctor who recently became a palliative medicine doctor, and I've got some awesome stories I want to share, and some awesome friends I want to share with you. On My Medical Mixtape, we're going to use music to help tell our stories, to connect, to break down barriers, because there's something deep inside us that music stirs up. We're going to go where the music, stories, and conversation take us. Each episode is going to start with me telling a story, but you won't be stuck with just me for the whole episode. I'll cry uncle after a few minutes and bring in an amazing guest voice for a conversation about music, medicine, and whatever else comes up. If you're in healthcare, I hope this podcast will resonate with you. If you're not in healthcare, I hope you love this too. Everybody loves music after all, and everybody has been a patient or loves somebody who has been. So this podcast is for you, too. For most of us, mixtapes were a childhood staple and require no explanation. If you're too young to have lived through the mixtape era, though, then you are young enough to have seen the amazing Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, in which mixtapes feature prominently. Shout out to my oldest son for breaking through my Marvel aversion and getting me to watch those Guardians movies. They are awesome, especially the second one, and I love how they use mixtapes to help tell the story. My 14-year-old son recently asked me a hilarious question as we were driving home from a youth wrestling tournament. Hey Dad, when you were younger, like really young, did you ever feel cool? I thought about it for a second. I remembered feeling pretty cool wearing the black and white Swatch watch I won in a raffle while I was in first grade. I remembered feeling kind of cool, but also kind of nerdy in the fourth grade when we all wore sunglasses, purple t-shirts, and white socks on our hands, and the whole school danced like the California Raisins to Marvin Gaye's I Heard It Through the Grapevine. But no, I don't think I ever felt really cool as a kid. I don't think so, son. I don't think that's ever been my struggle. Why do you ask? My son's answer cracked me up. Well, I was just remembering when I was about 6 or 7, and I had just listened to NF for the first time. I remember putting on sunglasses and looking around and feeling like I was the coolest person in the world, like I owned the earth I was standing on. Isn't that ridiculous? Of course it's ridiculous, but music has strange powers. I don't know that I've ever felt as awesome as my son described, but maybe the closest I ever came was playing Mr. Brownstone on the master tape on my very own dual cassette boombox while practicing 360 dunks in my bedroom on my over-the-door Nerf basketball hoop. That felt really cool. Thank you, Master Tape. Then there was the summer camp tape. Earthier, more acoustic, more mid-tempo. This one also came to me via my older sisters. Picture Cat Stevens, the Eagles, and the Indigo Girls playing songs with friends around a campfire, and you've got the vibe of the summer camp tape. This tape had all the yearning, all the bittersweet, all the feels. To this day, the dopamine hit I get when the second guitar comes in on the intro to Peace Train takes me right back to summer nights in the Ozarks. I remember playing my Walkman after lights out, sweating in my camp bunk because my portable fan was only big enough to hit my face, thinking about the cute girls in Cabin 4, my awesome counselors, thinking about God and the stars and the woods and all the fun we were going to have on the ropes course the next day, and listening to Dust in the Wind by Kansas.
Dust in the wind, all we are is dust in the wind. All we are is dust in the wind. Dust in the wind.
That was a great mixtape. I hesitate to even talk about the mixtapes we all made for young love interests. Do you want her to know you like her? Is giving him the tape enough, or do you need to telegraph your feelings through song selection? How do you show your feelings cleverly, but not come off too obvious? There are, or should be, entire master's theses written about how to craft the perfectly laid back and cool, but slightly vulnerable, but not too romantic, but maybe kind of romantic love interest mixtape track list. I don't think I ever mastered this dark art, sometimes even awkwardly adding instrumentals from movie soundtracks like Last of the Mohicans into my mixtapes. I was at least laid back and cool enough to never put Mr. Big's To Be With You on a love interest mixtape. As I was talking about this recently with my wife, she informed me that I might have had more luck in love if I'd included it.
I'm the one who wants to be with you. Deep inside, I hope you'll feel it too.
The first mixtapes, and the most enduring in my memory, though, were my dad's road trip mixtapes. When I was 15 and learning how to drive, my dad taught me two important things. Number one, I must master the art of driving while eating fast food. Specifically, I must handle a Jack-in-the-Box sourdough bacon cheeseburger in my right hand while steering the car solely with my left. Any struggle with this complex skill was a sign of weakness. Back in his day, you see, my dad was able to keep his right arm around his date, use his left hand on the stick to shift gears, and steer with his knees. So I better be able to handle a cheeseburger and an automatic transmission. And number two, All great journeys deserve a great soundtrack. To that end, my father always made road trip mixtapes, painstakingly recording songs from his vinyl and 8-track collection onto blank tapes, using a pieced-together tower of Radio Shack technology that would make NASA's mission control jealous. He turned our family road trips into 70s dad rock dreamscapes. Pablo Cruz, Steely Dan, ELO, the Doobie Brothers, Chicago, and Supertramp filled our ears as we watched Middle America roll by out the back window of our station wagon. This is the sound of blazing north through the East Texas piney woods before sunrise, making good time while driving from Houston to Iowa. This is the sound of Highway 75 through Topeka, Kansas.
Give a little bit of your love to me.
And this is the sound of Highway 59 through Denison, Iowa. I've been on a bit of a journey myself lately. From the world of emergency medicine, where I had spent the last 13 years, into a field of medicine that until very recently was brand new to me, palliative medicine. To make this change, I halted my work in the ER and went through a year of extra clinical training called a fellowship. During my mid-career year of training, this fellowship, music has played a crucial role. My father's love of music was passed on to all us kids, and I've found that music is a great way to connect with patients and families. Music has helped me process some incredibly wonderful and some really tough cases. Music has also helped me in processing this unusual career transition. You see, if you tell anyone you're an ER doctor, they immediately understand what you do. They've seen the TV shows. Palliative medicine is a little harder to grasp and a little harder to explain. In palliative medicine, we mostly help patients with diseases that may not be able to be cured. Advanced cancer, advancing dementia, end-stage heart failure and lung failure. In palliative medicine, we focus not on curing disease and saving lives, but on treating symptoms and improving quality of life for our patients with illnesses that often can't be cured. It's been a huge shift, a shift from being a first responder to being a last responder. And as if to make my father proud, my epic journey from emergency medicine into palliative medicine has featured a wonderful soundtrack. Some of these songs I shared with patients, some they shared with me, and some I listened to on my own. But all along the way, in this period of transition, I collected and sorted the songs that I would put on my medical mixtape. Unlike a modern digital playlist, which can go on forever. For example, I recently made a playlist of my 97 favorite U2 songs. I know, it's a bit excessive. I can't help it. But a mixtape has limited space. The aforementioned master tape, in fact, only had 12 songs on it. My medical playlist could go on and on, but that would be too easy. One of the most important aspects of my new job in palliative medicine is helping people make tough decisions about life-altering treatments. So I better be able to make a few tough decisions about what songs to help tell my story. I'll share one song per episode and tell a story associated with it. Then I'll have a conversation with a friend in healthcare, and we'll talk about music and medicine and stories and maybe themes from the episode. And that's it. Next week, we'll start with track 1, and we'll just work our way through the mixtape, song by song, story by story, episode by episode, and we'll let the songs lead us. Now, we're not done yet for today. stay tuned for our first interview. Dr. Ryan Allen, an ER doc in Austin, Texas, and a master of the dark art of the mixtape, was gracious enough to join us on this first episode of my medical mixtape and be our guinea pig. So here he is, coming right up. Thanks for listening, guys. So, okay, in your car, what settings, if you have two equalizers, where like a dial for bass and a dial for treble, no mid, what are your settings you're in high school?
Oh, man, that's rough. Yeah. I hate to admit it, but I'd probably be like a 7 or 8 on the bass, and then I'd keep the treble at like 5.
No, that's not bad. See, I think I just loved it when it was 10 and 10. It's like the same as 5 and 5,
or 0
or 0 and 0. Yeah, I would try the bass and then like blow out a speaker and really like, what was I listening to that had good bass? I don't know.
I remember I did not have a good stereo system in my 19 whatever Pontiac Sunbird. And
Pontiac Sunbird?
Yes, I did. Blue piece of crap Pontiac Sunbird. And I was driving down the road at about 2 a.m. I was going to my buddy's house, and there was no like, this was a day where no bad, like I hadn't been drinking. I wasn't going to a party. There was nothing. I was just driving. It was 2 a.m. and I was listening to, I don't know, probably like REO Speedwagon or something, but I had it all cranked up and my stereo sucked. And one of my speakers blew. And because, I'm driving down the road and suddenly there's this like horrible sound with a buzz in my back. I was like, oh my God, there's somebody in my back seat and they're going to kill me. And so I swerved, and I basically swerved into oncoming traffic, in rural,
Wait, so you thought the buzz from
I don't know what it was. I was afraid.
It's just something changed.
You're
driving
me.
and something changed.
And I swerved over, and then I realized, oh my gosh, my speaker just blew. And there was only one other car, and it was like 4 miles away, but it saw me, and it was a cop.
Oh no. So
the lights came on. I pulled over and I talked to the guy, and like, so he's like, what on earth is going on? Have you been drinking? I was like, I haven't. And he's like, you just pulled into oncoming traffic. And I was like, well, I mean, there was no traffic, but like, I see what you're saying. And I told him what happened. I was like, my speaker blew out. I got freaked out. I just turned. And he's like, I have a drunk driver in my car, and you're lucky that I have him, because otherwise I would give you a ticket. And he just drove away.
Oh, that's beautiful. I'm imagining this whole thing happening with the song "I Can't Fight This Feeling Anymore."
It was probably that.
Playing,
it's
but
a really good
with
song.
it buzzing. So it's like a really lousy version of that song. And the police officer probably had the same song playing in his car.
He was rocking out to like, I can't fight this feeling, taking in his drunk driver.
Oh, that's fantastic. That is so good. Well, we are so lucky to have with us today the one and only Ryan Allen. Ryan, thank you so much for being here. This is our very first interview on my medical mixtape. And I really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, man, it's my pleasure. I just can't wait to see where this goes. Not just today, but like, I can't wait to see where like the 9th one is. But
it's same.
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
No idea.
Yeah.
I think we are getting ahead of ourselves, because this may shock you, Ryan Allen, but I think that there may be some of our listeners who don't know who Ryan Allen is.
That can't be right.
I know. So we're gonna fix that. So by way of introduction, I'm gonna throw some facts about Ryan Allen, and I want you to tell me if I'm wrong on any of this. Okay.
Fair enough.
So Ryan Allen is an ER doctor from Austin, Texas. Are we correct so far?
You're spot on.
Okay, fantastic. You are a husband and a father who just got destroyed in ping pong by both your wife and your son.
I don't know about destroyed.
Okay, it was close. It was close to the end. Okay.
Yeah.
fair enough.
They inched out a win. Yeah.
I mean, 3 in a row. I feel like it's maybe not luck at that point, but
Inched out a win.
Okay. You are a guitar player.
I am an amateur. I'm a lifelong amateur guitar player. I'd say accomplished amateur.
3 chords and the truth.
I know at least 3 chords, and I can go back and forth with abandon.
Pretty quick.
Yeah.
Nice. And you're dabbling in mandolin, expanding your repertoire.
That's right.
Very nice. Okay. You are a writer.
I'm an aspiring writer. I'm an aspiring everything.
We're all aspiring. That's right. You are a tennis pro?
Oh my God. You're just pointing out my mediocrities.
No, I am not. I'm pointing out your well-roundedness. Yeah, I think of you as a sophisticant because instead of studying Spanish along the way, you learned French.
I learned French, and actually, so I also speak Bambara. So that's
Please explain.
a West African language, and very interestingly, like I don't get to speak it very much, obviously, because it's a language that's spoken in West Africa, which I learned when I was in the Peace Corps back in the day.
Yeah.
I mean, just like anybody that speaks a foreign language, if you don't use it a lot, you lose it. And I never get to use Bambara. Well, just this month, I was working a shift and I looked on the tracker and I saw a name that was for sure from West Africa. And I was like, well, let's give it a try. And I went in there and I started speaking with this woman, and sure enough, she spoke Bambara, and we had a chat in my basic decayed Bambara, and she was impressed, and I was super thrilled to break out those old Bambara skills.
And how much good did that do to that woman's soul? Just to hear her native tongue. That is awesome. So I love that this has already come up, the international piece, because I think of you as somebody who's very well traveled, who has an eye on the rest of the world. And you've spent actually a lot of time in Haiti doing medical work there.
Yep.
And when you're there, does French come in handy?
Not as much as I thought it would. Like when I first got invited to go, I was like, well, I speak French. This will be awesome.
No problem.
And some of the educated people speak French, but the educated people also speak English, and the Creole that they speak there is French based, but it is not French. And it is not, when I speak French to someone who does not speak French there, who has not studied French, it's just not.
It's not working.
It's not the same thing.
Okay. You know that this is my medical mixtape. This is a podcast where we're talking about the intersection of music and medicine and, life, like all the ups and downs and how music can help us tell our stories and process our stories. But this first episode, we really are like kind of just thinking about the concept of a mixtape.
Yeah.
Now, I can only imagine you are a fellow Gen Xer, but like a couple years ahead of me. So I'm always looking to like the Gen Xers slightly ahead of me for like, what's cool more than I do. And like a mixtape is very much about what's cool or what matters.
It's funny because like one of the pieces that you wrote about mixtapes, you were talking about like, I can't remember, it was your older sisters, like friends who had
Absolutely.
done a mixtape. And you're exactly right. You looked at even the person 1 year older or whatever who had put together a mixtape, you just tear it intellectually apart, trying to parse out like, wow, what did they just introduce me to, but you're right. Like, and it's I am slightly older than you, as you have alluded to, and therefore wiser and probably cooler.
I agree. I never think the younger people are cooler. I always think it's the older people, but I think that's just something screwed up in my brain. So I agree. And did you ever feel that there was almost like an imperative to impart through the mixtape to the next generation, even if the next generation is 6 months younger than you, like to impart your musical wisdom to the next person?
So the next person for me was whoever I was trying to impress. Like, who am I making the mixtape for? And gosh, I wish the mixtape still existed, because it's such a, what you're doing is like you're expressing yourself, but you're also trying to anticipate what how they're going to receive the message too, you know? So like, you know, what you might do just in a vacuum is not what you actually put on your mixtape when you make it, because you're looking at the like the girl that you're trying to impress, or you know,
or your buddy
or whatever,
your little brother.
Exactly. And you go to, and then you think of that song and you're like, wait, is this cool enough? Am I like, what message am I sending? You know, like there's so much overthinking. I mean, it's an overthinking. It's an exercise in overthinking.
That's exactly. It's a nightmare. Like,
it's nightmare. It's a nightmare. And to hand someone a mixtape,
it would almost be like handing them out of the blue some hours-long woodworking project. I mean, so much thought and craft went into a mixtape.
Yeah. And it tells something about your soul and about what you think about them and just all this stuff. And then there's also the strong possibility that that they miss all of that. And they're just like, oh, this is nice. And it wasn't meant to be just nice. It was meant to be powerful or whatever. And just nice doesn't cut it.
Just nice does not cut it.
Wow, these are a bunch of nice songs.
Oh, that's great.
No, that is not the point.
That is not the point. So what do you remember, like, if you can think back, what is the first mixtape that you remember, either receiving or making? Is there one that stands out in your mind? And what was on it?
I think probably, like most people, receiving one or coming across one, whether you received it or you stole it from somebody, or like if you had an older sibling.
Thievery was definitely involved.
Yeah. I mean, an older sibling is key. If you're an eldest sibling, this may not resonate with you, but like taking the mixtape out of your older sibling's car and listening to it or something like that, it feels like you're, I don't know, dipping your toe in the forbidden or something like that. But to answer your question, is there one that I can think of? I mean, I hesitate to say yes, because like I remember getting it, but like I don't necessarily remember all the songs that were on it. I remember kind of the feel of it and stuff like that. But it'll be a little bit unsatisfying, because like what I remember most is that sense of like I'm learning something that is supposed to be 2 years on in development. You know, I'm stealing something from the generation right before me or something like that. But I don't remember exactly what was on it. So
that's fantastic. I think feel is huge, and I think that's what draws me to the slightly older. Is it's that feel of like, I shouldn't know this, but I do.
Well, so one thing I can say is that there are bands that I know that I was only introduced to from a mixtape that I either stole or somehow came across, or like somebody gave it to me, or somebody was tired of and they just gave it to me. So like Van Halen. So Van Halen, when I was a little
classic
kid,
mixtape material, Van Halen. Gosh. Absolutely.
Like, and somebody gives it to you, and like this guitar's coming across, and you're just like, what is going on? What is that? What even is that sound?
Your 6-year-old brain cannot process the squeaks and the pops and the craziness.
100%. And then, and it just feels like, feels forbidden or something. And you're just like, but this is me. I'm part of it now, you know?
Absolutely. Now, do you remember any mixtapes that you made that stand out for you? I mean, of course you spent hours. Is there anything that stands out from that process?
So many hours. So one period of my life where I was making mixtapes well beyond when I should have, probably.
This was last week, that tape you gave me?
Sorry about that. Do you even have a cassette player anymore? I'm sure you
What I did
something.
is I went and downloaded each of the songs and made a playlist.
Okay.
So thank you for writing out the song names. It made it easier for me.
Just to not answer your question, but to just talk about mixtapes in general, like, do you remember going to the store and finding the tape that looked the coolest that you had?
100%.
It would either be like some cool color, or it like looked like high tech or something. And it's just a tape. It's just a cassette tape. There's nothing.
The blank jacket mattered a great deal.
There's nothing different about it. It just records music, and it doesn't sound any better or anything like that. But like you'd be like, oh, I'm giving this like neon green one to this girl I'm trying to impress. Whereas like if you're making it for your buddy, you're like, oh no, I'm going with like the
brown.
Yeah, the
I'm going with
tech looking thing or whatever.
Absolutely.
And
I mean,
you write other songs in it, but let's see. So a couple that I remember. Oh, so I have a friend named Byron who I went to college with, who is he is a musical, like he knows more about music than anybody that I know. But he also is fascinated just with sounds. He in fact works in the movie industry and makes or like mostly does TV work, and he's into sound. But like and you know, I think his TV work is probably mostly boring. You know, you put a mic on somebody and you make sure they sound good on the thing, stuff like that. But that doesn't tell the whole story. He's obsessed with like cool sounds. Like he's a beatboxer. He like listens to crazy stuff. He listens to.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. He would make me these mixtapes and he would send them to me when I was in the Peace Corps in Africa. And those are the best mixtapes that I have ever gotten. They were so diverse. And so he thought so hard. And this is what everybody aspires to, about the transition from one song to the next.
That's huge.
Blowing your mind, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like every single one, what you aspired to is like, oh, I'm going to blow their mind with this. And he accomplished it every single time.
Yeah. There's no way you can go from Sonic Youth back to the Eagles to something in hip, like it's not possible. It can't be done.
Exactly. Hip hop. And then, you know, he would throw in like clips, like audio clips from movies and things like that.
Okay. That's next level.
It's next level. And he is next level. And just like a few bands that like he just introduced me to, I mean, like old bands that I never probably would have come across, like Curtis Mayfield. He introduced me.
Oh, very cool.
But also like Guided by Voices and like, I mean, just such a breadth of like stuff that he would put into it. And he would send it to me about once every 6 months while I was there. And man, it was like Christmas when that thing showed up.
That is a good friend,
Oh my
man.
God.
I bet that like buoyed you up so much.
I gotta tell you, like, you need to get him on at some point. I'm going to introduce you, and it's going to be probably your greatest hit on this on this podcast.
Okay, so I'm picturing you in West Africa in the Peace Corps, speaking Bambara, and getting a mixtape. And for some reason, I'm automatically thinking it has Peter Gabriel on it because he like co-opted all African rhythms into his music. So you're listening to Peter Gabriel and Guided by Voices, and I'm thinking that must have been just such a lift to be. The music brings you back home, but it also is like sending you on your journey.
Exactly. You got it. Exactly. It's like it defines the moment, right? That you're living in. It like I will forever associate some of the songs on those tapes that he would send me with that period of my life. And even if they were much older or if they had just come out, whatever, it didn't matter. He would construct it in such a way that like I would listen to it over and over and over, and whatever was going on in my life, I was like, this is the soundtrack for this part of my life.
That's so cool. So you're clearly not afraid of doing hard things. You were in the Peace Corps, and forever you've been an ER doctor, which I think is a very hard thing to do. I mean, but you keep going. You're still, and you're a fantastic ER doctor. Pleasure to work with. I wonder if music has played a similar role for you in medicine, like it kind of maybe bolstered your spirits or helped you kind of keep going during hard times in Peace Corps.
Yeah, I think so. Like, it's an unwinding thing for sure. Like, so, there are people who I don't know if this will come across on the podcast. My daughter playing piano in the background.
How perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
But, I don't typically listen to music at work, and I always appreciate it when somebody does come in and put it on. It's just that like I don't know if it just hasn't been part of my routine, you know. But it is part of my unwinding routine. And you know, as I think you alluded to, it is a tough job, and we think about this a lot. I think that's, you know, maybe one of the reasons that we're having this conversation is that like we think about how it affects, you know, it's a noble, I still believe it's a really noble pursuit, and in some ways it kind of eats us up, you know. It eats up the people who are committed to the profession. But it doesn't always have to. And there's all these like strategies for doing it. And music certainly is one of those strategies. It's something that like, you know, one of the ERs that I work at is about a 30-minute or, you know, 35-minute drive from my house, which, you know, the downside is that there's a little bit of a drive to it, but the upside is that there's a like a decompressing time on the way there and on the way back that I use music for very frequently. You know, I get myself in the right mindset to go in and be a productive doctor. And then no matter what has happened, you know, sometimes you can find just the right music on the way home to kind of decompress.
Yeah. I can definitely relate to that. I always felt it took a certain amount of time to come down off of an intense shift.
Yeah.
Whether it was intense because of volume or because of like the severity of the illness you were dealing with, or kind of like high stakes adrenaline moments, it took time. Is there a particular type of music or a particular artist that has helped you kind of in those, say you have a 35-minute drive and you've just been in a like light your hair on fire and run around the ER kind of shift? Is there a particular type of music or artist that really kind of helps you bring that cortisol level back down?
So there has been, and it changes over time. And, you know, what's funny is that like I feel a little pressure sometimes when I get in. I'm like, I have to pick the right thing. And sometimes I don't want to think about it. I just want to pick something that I know I'm going to like. And so like in the past, it's been like Michael Kiwanuka. It's just like this like groovy thing that I can listen to and stuff like that. Or let me think, even more years back, it's been like, various jazz things, you know, like,
nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, Miles Davis,
like, kind of blue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Putting Kind of Blue and just let it kind of do its thing. But lately I've been putting in, like when I don't want to think about it, I just want to pick something and I want it to play and I want to groove on the way home. It's the Stone Roses. I put in the Stone Roses. It does the thing for me. It's great. By the time I get home, I'm cool.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Do you find that drive time with good music equals enough like decompression time for you? Like when you hit the front door, you're kind of whole again and can kind of get back to life outside of medicine?
Yeah. Most of the time. I think that, you know, like nobody wants to drive, you know, 35 minutes to their job necessarily, but like, I think that decompressing time, like the last thing I want to do is come in and wear my emotions on my sleeve and make my family suffer for like whatever heartbreak that I suffered at work, you know?
Yeah.
And so like, I actively try to get in a good mindset in that 35 minutes on the way home, or if it's South Austin, on the 4.5 minutes on the way. I have less time there.
You dog.
Yeah. But to answer your question, it mostly does. Like I feel like if I plan things right and I pick the right stuff, and even sometimes if I don't pick the right stuff, if I just put on like KUTX and they are playing stuff that maybe I wouldn't have normally listened to,
yeah,
you know, I feel like that's good for me. They got to pick stuff sometimes that challenges me. That's why, you know, a good DJ on the radio, they'll pick stuff that they're like, I know this isn't my audience's like favorite stuff, but it's probably good for them.
I know Ryan Allen is out there.
Yeah, he's out there. He could probably benefit from this.
He needs this.
Yeah. And they're right. That's the thing, is that they're right.
So I'm asked this question a lot. I'm at a med school now, and students who feel they really, they're leading with their heart. They're asking me, like, how do you find the balance between caring too much to the point that you can't function and not caring at all to the point that you become a monster? And I find that, like, just watching you work over the years, I feel like you found a good balance. I know that you care deeply about your patients, but I also know that you're able to, do your work at work, but also kind of continue going on about your life and come home for your family and be there for your friends. And so how do you find that balance between, you still care, but you're able to function? Does that make sense? Like that sort of, like that
100% makes sense.
Empathy balance.
Well, the answer is that you work at it. It is not necessarily something that comes naturally, and it's not necessarily something that's easy. You actively go out and you work at it. Like I am constantly looking for, looking at strategies to deal with, high stress situations and burnout, the concept of burnout. Like I think there's one thing that people don't realize when they are dealing with a high stress job like this is that it's not people are cut out for it or they're not cut out for it. I think that anybody can thrive in the setting, but you have to realize that there are strategies that you can employ, and you have to learn them and you have to work at them. And I have done that. And, I would say my lowest point in my career from a morale standpoint was during, the pandemic, when, we were faced with, like, it's just the darkest.
Man, I hear you, brother. That was, that was tough.
But, what I did then and what has stuck with me is that I am very active in looking in researching ways to deal with personal stress and job stress and things like that. And I try to employ them, and there's lots of stuff out there. It's just, you got to learn it and you got to do it.
It's a skill.
It's a skill, just like anything else. And people who are flailing in the job, who don't feel like there's anything out there, oftentimes I think it's a matter of finding and taking seriously these things that are out there. And by taking seriously, I mean, sometimes you'll hear stuff that like some administrator will throw it your way, like, oh, you should meditate more or something like that. And you're like, oh my God, like,
give me a break. Come work a shift and you tell me about meditating.
Sit in a corner and, like, meditate. Get me. What are you talking about? But the truth is that meditating is a strategy. Does it work for everybody? No. But, like, if you haven't actually looked at it and tried it and listened to it and stuff like that, then you shouldn't poo-poo it. It's like, it's one of those things. Or I'm, listening to music. There's a lot of data about music in, and how it affects your neurotransmitters and things like that. And in your line of work, with end of life care and just palliative care and stuff like that, that is something to harness. That's something to harness, that, like, if you don't take it seriously and if you don't look into it and you don't, like, give it a try, then it's worthless to you. All it is some other, like, administrator telling you, oh, you should listen to music. You're like, oh, shut up.
I love that. So I feel like you're describing it in the same way a lot of people, it's easy to think that leadership and communication, those are two things that recur as, like, you either have it or you don't. But leadership is a skill that you can learn. Communication is a skill that you can learn. And I think what you're suggesting is that, like, finding that empathy balance of I still care about my patients, but I'm also want to be functional in the world,
Right.
and functional for the next patient is a skill that you can learn about, practice, try different things, see what works for you, and you can learn it.
100%. You know, like I think we run into this a lot in medicine because like most of us in administrative roles or in leadership roles or something like that, and truthfully, like any doctors in a leadership role, or whether they think they are or not, you know, if you take an actual leadership role, most of us have not trained for that, you know.
Right.
We didn't go to business school. We just don't know this thing. So we learn on the fly, and you can either learn it or you can not learn it. I mean, you can just say like, oh, I'm probably good at this because I'm a doctor and I'm smart and I'm just going to try and be good at it.
And that always works, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, that's why, like, you know, are you aware of the statistic of like doctors crashing planes and stuff? They're like, I'm probably good at flying.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
Or investing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like
yeah.
My brother went to law school, and he is like, there's all these like famous law cases about some doctor that thought he was probably good at whatever it is that like just went horribly wrong. And of course lawsuits happen and stuff like that. So anyway,
That's
all that to
amazing.
say,
Yeah.
you know, just because you're good at being a doctor doesn't mean you're naturally good at, for example, dealing with stress or being a good leader or things like that. And they're learnable skills. They're learnable skills, but you have to lean into them and you have to put in the work, you know?
I love that. Thanks so much for sharing that. I think that's really, really good insight. I'm honestly often at a loss for what to tell med students and people kind of starting when they're like, I'm feeling so much right now. What do I do? And I'm going to steal some of what you just said next time I have this conversation with a medical student, if that's all right.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
All right.
Well, yeah, so like, I remember way back when I was a brand new baby doctor, and there's these old doctors who would always grouse about like how things were better back in the day. And like,
they're always there. Yeah.
And at the time, I remember saying to myself, like, I'm never going to be that. Like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be the one who's like, man, medicine was so much better back in the day, blah, blah, blah. And I've remembered that, like, you know, these 20 years on, I still remember that. And like, you know, there's lots of stuff I can complain about. But at the end of the day, if someone wants to go into medicine and you are the kind of person who would try to talk them out of it, I think that's just a shame, because it is still just a special thing to do. And if someone is inclined to do it, you know, if someone is on the fence and they're, you know,
Maybe their motivations are confused.
yeah, then
they think they're
then sure,
supposed
it's just
to.
say, wow, this doesn't sound like it's for you. But if somebody's like, I really want to do this, and you talk them out of it, that feels like a sin to me.
I love that. I heard that all the time. Oh, well, medicine's, you know, like,
It's going the wrong direction. And we're like, oh man, back in the day, we made so much money and everybody left us alone and we could practice the way we wanted to.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it was good, man. Maybe you sucked at being a doctor. Like,
Yeah. Maybe you were terrible
Yeah.
and nobody dared question you. You know, it's probably good that changes have happened, right?
yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, this has been so great talking with you. Not only hearing about your mixtape experiences, but also a lot of this like hard-earned wisdom from years on the front lines in the ER, like the craziest place. And you're still going strong. So I do have a few more questions though that are really, really important that I want to ask you.
Hit me.
Okay. They're going to come fast.
All right, I'm ready.
Beatles or Stones?
Beatles.
Biggie or Tupac?
Oh, Tupac.
Taylor Swift or Madonna?
This is going to be a shocker. Taylor Swift.
Creed or Nickelback?
Oh God, you're killing me right now. Nickelback. Oh, why? Why have you done this to me?
Okay, Elvis Presley or Woody Guthrie?
Woody Guthrie.
The Cure or Depeche Mode?
The Cure.
REM or anybody else?
I'm going to go REM. I love REM.
U2 or Radiohead?
Come on. Give me a break. You too.
Good answer. We're going to keep you on the show.
By a light
We are
year.
not editing that out.
All right.
Okay. So my last question, if you were making a mixtape that was representative of your life right now,
Okay.
can you think of a few songs that would just like have to be on there? You don't have to, it takes so much thought to construct the perfect mixtape, to put it in order and everything. So I don't expect an order, but what are some songs that you'd be like, oh, that's on there for sure?
Well, yeah. So like, all right. So the way I'm going to take this is that like, if I'm sitting down tonight and I have to have a mixtape by tomorrow, where do I start?
Yeah. Perfect.
All right. You know, it's funny because you asked Beatles and Stones and I went Beatles, and I stand by that. But like a lot of Stones songs have been speaking to me recently. And part of that is that like, I feel like, you know, over the years, I haven't really given the Stones as much listening time as they deserve.
You haven't dug deep.
I haven't dug deep. I mean, I have spent a lot of time listening to the Stones, but they're one that I feel like are due for me another deep dive. And so I'm gonna listen to some Stones songs, and it's gonna be some weird stuff too. It's not necessarily gonna be like, you know, Jumpin' Jack Flash.
You think it's like She Smiled Sweetly, like kind of like a more heartfelt,
or maybe some of their piano tunes or something like that.
Very nice, very nice.
So that's
but
one place I would go.
That's the mixtape mentality. Like, I'm throwing you a curveball, but it's gonna work.
Yeah, well, it might or might not. I mean,
that's the risk.
You never know. That's the beauty. Same with David Bowie. Like David Bowie, oh man, this is gonna be a controversial take for sure. It's just like I feel like David Bowie, I've never liked David Bowie as much as he deserves. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. Yeah.
Like, I think he's great. I don't routinely listen to many of his albums and stuff like that. And so it's another one that like, if I'm going to really like, if I want to dig deep into something right now, it's going to be stuff that I feel like deserves a better listen, just deserves a bit more of my attention than I've given it over the years.
I love that.
Yeah. So those two come to mind.
So I'm hearing that the song Starman by David Bowie just might be on there.
That's a great song. It's a great song.
It's a great song.
Yeah.
Any song from Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars is a banger.
Well, I mean, look, he doesn't need our endorsement.
No, he doesn't. Okay.
But like, I feel like I owe an apology a little bit to David Bowie for not being a diehard fan, and I'm not, but I'm going to give it that listen at some point.
I think you do owe him that apology. So now I'm going to be the recipient of this mixtape.
Okay.
What's a music that I may not know that you want to show me on this mixtape?
Okay.
A band I may not have heard of.
Well, so this is a band that you have heard of, an artist that you've heard of, but like, I wonder about the early Beck stuff.
Oh, very cool.
You know, so he did this thing early on where every other album was a lo-fi, gritty album that didn't sell well. And I loved those albums. That's what I want on this mixtape from you, for sure. Because I do not know that. So
but that
sort
sounds
of thing.
like perfect mixtape fodder.
Okay. All right.
I love it.
I'm going to send you some.
Well, Ryan Allen, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us on my medical mixtape.
Thanks for having me.
Keep being out there doing good work, man.
All right.
All right. Talk to you later.
Love you.
Bye. Love you too. This episode of My Medical Mixtape has been a Crash Cart Campfire production. Thank you to our editors Sarah Brager and Hasina Shah. Thank you to our special guest, Dr. Ryan Allen. Be on the lookout for his upcoming book, or find him in a friendly neighborhood ER near you. Next week, we start the mixtape in earnest with track 1. See you then, friends.